Hey, hey,
I could have kept on dancing on that one.
you know?
I was looking at our intro song
Yep.
by Ketsa. It's called Why Wait? And, we picked it because we love that title and we love the beat. But I'm
Yeah.
like, one day we're just going to have to dance the whole 3 minutes and people are
Okay.
just going to have to look at us dancing.
Invite them to dance with us. You're invited. Dance with us.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? We love to start every show with music because it gets us grounded in our bodies. It gets us in the spirit of joy and
Yeah.
delight. I was just talking to somebody today, my friend, about that. Whew, it has been tough lately. A lot of grief and
Yeah.
loss, a lot of chaos in the world, and our practice of looking for the good. Not that it says the bad isn't out there, because we know all the
Right.
isms, all the stuff. There's bad out there, but the practice of looking for the good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say more about that in the show because I want to give a
I
special
love it.
shout out. So remind me about
Please.
that. But should we do
Okay.
introductions?
Yeah, let's do introductions. Hi, ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, the founder of Shalo Glow LLC, a handmade shea butter company. I am your advocate for natural self care and practical business systems.
Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and published author who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Yes, and together we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast grounded in the eight dimensions of wellness.
We love to get together every week to have intentional conversations about business and life and relationships and how do we do all this and be well at the same time.
Crazy.
And know that we are learning right along beside you. We do not
Yes.
have all the answers. That's why we like to
Mhm.
bring on awesome guests. And, today is our kind of season wrap up for the last season and talking about all the awesome guests we had on and talking about some new things. So,
Yes.
what you want to talk about today, my friend?
Oh my good. Let's start with what you just hit on. The what did you say? The how do we do it all and looking for the good. That's
Right?
how I what I think about when I think about maintaining the wellness, right? If I get more bad news, like, okay, let me start over. When I think about everything that's been going on, if I get more bad news, that's when I'm very intentional, even more so of taking care of myself. I thought I was gonna go to my little brother's football game. That didn't happen. Slightly disappointed. You know what? Let me instead pour into myself. Let me do a facial since it's been a while. Let me do my nails. They still popped off, but they were on there yesterday, okay? And the point is that I tried. We're going to pour into ourselves and give that time to our wellness since something else on this side is costing us, or pulling from that place of joy, from the place of gratitude, and making us pay attention to the grief while we're being realistic with everything going on. That's what's helped me.
I love that. I think we mentioned it on last show with Kira about if you don't have time to meditate for 30 minutes, meditate for an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the same spirit of things, right? If things are extra chaotic or you're quote unquote too busy, that's the time that those are those words that then you really need to check in with yourself about where am I with my self care? Because,
Exactly.
here's the truth of the matter that I know from data, I know from own life experience, I know from all these guests we've had on this show. If we do not take care of ourselves, we cannot sustain community work. We cannot sustain taking care of other people. And that's what we're about, right? Especially about as women. Most of us have communities of people we take care of,
Absolutely.
whether that's our families, whether that's our jobs. I shouldn't say whether either or. Most of the time it's
Both.
and, right? It's in the
Yes.
world and.
Yeah.
So, how do we do that and nurture ourselves and stay well? This
Yes.
practice of looking for the good. I was talking to my dear friend, Kate Arms up in Canada, which we should give her a shout out and an invite to come on and talk to us.
Yeah.
She's ridiculously awesome. She has a leadership podcast that she
Ooh.
does a lot in the leadership field. Highly recommend. I'll put it in our show notes. And she was talking about that the practice of gratitude, which has been around a long time, which I love and have done for a long time, she said that one kind of grates on her nerves sometimes.
Mm.
Because if she's had a bad day, then she's all like, I don't know, but she can look for the good. And what she has is a practice of three best things. What
Mm.
were the three best things for today? She might not have been grateful for them, but they were the three best things that happened that day. I thought
I
that was
like
an
that.
interesting take on it.
Yeah, I like that too. And I will say that's also why I like to do gratitude at the beginning of the day. Because before I
Ah,
touch my phone, before all this other stuff happens, I can come from a place of gratitude. Now,
I
I
love
also
that.
say, I know I've told you that I do 10 gratitudes. If it's a more difficult day or a lot has been going on, I've been the last few days scaling it back to three, so I'm still trying to make sure I'm in the practice, but let's scale it back and not overwhelm ourselves or not start feeling negative because you feel like there is less good to look for, even though that's not true. But this is what I'm thinking about right now. I'll stay on the practice and then come back later. But I like reflecting on the day and even maybe things that upset you or things that didn't go your way. You can say, you know what? I actually was better for that happening the way that it
Right?
did. I like that.
Right? Like that difficult conversation,
Yeah.
like that difficult conversation or that confrontation
Hmm.
that we've been dreading, but it was the
Yeah.
best thing that happened that day because we cleared the air, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And,
I,
specifically with those two, that's been something that I've been focused on since I was an RA at Kennesaw State. And we used to have to deal with residents and roommate contracts, college freshmen fighting with people that they don't know, but they live with, right? And I would tell them there's a difference between communication and confrontation. We can
yep.
have disagreements. You and I can have two different viewpoints and talk just like this. It doesn't always have to be running up on somebody or being
Right.
passive aggressive or being condescending and having to come back from that and then actually face the situation and what we need to talk about. We could just have a conversation about it. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yes. And I, it's very interesting that you said that, Shannon, because we're taught, especially as women in the South, because Shannon and
Mm,
I are both women from the South,
yeah.
that confrontation's a bad thing, or
Mm,
that we have to handle. I've really been thinking about this a lot lately. Actually, since last month, from the Interplay National Leaders Gathering at National International, because I'm about to call the name of my friend Masanko Bandi, and he is in Africa, so he's definitely not. He comes
ooh,
to the U.S. a lot, but he's in Malawi, and
ooh,
he did a workshop with my friend Natty, who's in Canada, about conflict, right,
mm,
and confrontation, and how it's really inevitable when we do the work, like when we're doing the work of undoing oppression, when we're doing the work of being in right relationship with each other, when we deepen our relationships. So if we're going to have lasting friendships, if we're going to have lasting relationships, whether they're work or personal, there's going to be conflict, right?
mhm,
And I popped off that session, and it was a beautiful session because it was done in with body wisdom and somatic, and how can we do it? And it doesn't have to be like, just like you were saying that you taught your RAs. It can be a conversation. It doesn't have to be yelling or like, but you're still addressing the conflict. And
yeah.
I popped off that session, and I went and I taught radical self and community care with my
Mm,
co-author Sheila K. Collins, and we were talking about the 5 skills of self care. And it was like this light bulb moment went off in my head about, I'm always talking about the 5 skills of self-care in regards to caregivers and activists and artists. It's the work I do in the world, right? And
yeah.
then I was like, well, yeah, caregivers and activists are always dealing with conflict. It's very common in the work that they do. So really presencing the 5 skills of self-care when we're rolling on up on something that's difficult, which I would say right now almost every day is difficult as we're going into this, year 2 of grief and loss and the pandemic.
Yeah.
I know I've said them before, but are you okay if I give a shout out to the
I
five
was about
skills
to
of
ask
self-care?
you,
Okay.
please.
Right? Because, we teach what we need to know. So I'm always reminding myself about these. So in the book Still Point, a self-care playbook for caregivers to find ease and time to breathe and reclaim joy, we talk about the five skills of self-care. Number one is sorting and separating what belongs to us from what belongs to others. I think about that when we're going into a conflict or a tough situation. What belongs to us from what belongs to others? Because then it separates out about it being personal, right?
Yeah.
Number two, letting go and surrendering and learning how, when, and how to do this. I often think about this in a conflict situation about letting go of having to have the answer. Like, how sometimes when we're anticipating something, we already have what we're going to say, and the letting go and surrendering and listening, right? To what does the other person bring into the table? Number three is building and using partnership power to get help from others. My favorite, huge collaborator. Shout out to my partner and co host, Shannon Mitchell, partnership power in the extreme on this
Thank you.
podcast. Um, I think about that in conflict. Like,
Yeah.
or we don't always have to do it by ourselves. We could bring a buddy, or we could see the other person as our partner in this and solving it instead of being across from us. Brene Brown talks about some of that work, about sitting on the same side of the table to address the issue.
Mm,
Number four is stepping back to see the big picture and the relationships between the parts. That one's always a good one.
yeah.
What's this going to look like in 10 years? And do we need to talk about it today? And then number five is exercising choice by saying no and yes. That we oftentimes need to say no to things and have boundaries in order to be able to say yes to things that are our purpose and yes to the goal that we're trying to achieve.
I
Thank
love
you for
it.
letting me share those with you.
Of course. Of course.
I've really
And I've,
been, go ahead.
I've read the book. I love Still Point, and I still need a reminder of what the five are. But absolutely, doing those every day. I love all of them are key, clearly, since they're all on the list. But this is yours, and then this is mine. And
Right.
then the fact that letting go is second, sometimes it's yours, but you can still let it go. It's okay. It
Right.
happened. You also have to forgive yourself. You also have to have grace with yourself. And then how can we, as partnership power, maybe you need something from your partner, from your co host to be able to make it easier for you to do that. Maybe that's why it was a conflict. Maybe it was a tone of voice. Maybe it was who
Right.
knows what the detail could be. But you know what? It's my responsibility. I can let it go. But this is what I need from you in order to move forward the way that we're saying we want to move forward. I think is
Yeah.
that's a really good way to keep healthy boundaries and, like you said, not make it personal.
Right. Well, I just think about it's a way to have self care in the midst of community care.
Mm,
It is a way towards wellness. When we talk about social wellness, last season we talked with Asia Moore about social wellness and different, that social wellness about how are you doing with your relationships? How are you doing with the people you're hanging out with? Um, Remind our audience what Asia was all about, Shannon.
yes, yes. So one of my favorite things that she has is the app. Um, It's the beauty supplied app, right? Where you get to order what you need and it's delivered to you. So DoorDash has food, Beauty Supplied will have beauty products, which is perfect. I know when I'm at work, somebody might need some lip gloss or edge control or who knows what it is. I think it's a revolutionary idea.
I think it's a fabulous idea. And you know what I was
Yes.
just thinking about?
What?
I can't tell you how many events I've been at that somebody's forgotten something.
Of course.
And like these are big events, like fundraiser events or things
Mm,
where a lot of media was going to be, or there was going to be a lot of photos taken, and somebody left something at home, or, so
yeah.
what a great thing to be able to have it on hand. Because, often you're yelling, who's got this or who's got
Yeah.
that? But
Yeah. And do
if you
you
could
want to
have,
use it?
right? And
Yeah.
that was before, that was pre COVID. So the
Right.
answer now, no. What was that number five? Self care skill boundaries? No. The
Yeah.
answer is
No.
no.
Right. Mm-mm.
So, woo, old school days of using somebody else's lipstick. Yeah, those are gone,
Right.
aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yep. Even then, I wasn't using the eyeliner and the mascara. You got
Right?
to be careful, you know? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation with her.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the conversation with Courtney. We talked about how to know when you're close to burnout. What are the signs that you see in yourself? So mine, when I start overworking, my sleep schedule gets a little more disorganized, and I'm not eating as much as I should, which is very important, right? To lose the weight, I lost like 40 pounds and have kept it off, but I had to eat more because I was continuously not eating enough. And then when I ate, I was not eating what I should eat. So now, picking up these hours, um, I've seen, I'm not eating as much, or what I might choose to eat might not give me all the vitamins and everything that I need that day. So, you know what? Courtney said this on the show. Let me make sure that I remember to do the little things each day.
Right? And we had her on for intellectual wellness, talking about burnout and stress, Shannon. We do wisdom and actions every week, but thinking about this last 6 weeks,
Mhm.
it's actually been longer than that for this season. It's been 8 weeks, right? So
Yeah.
when you think about this past 8 weeks, what have you been doing for self care? I
Mm.
heard you say what your indicators were, that you're
Right.
not you start to not sleep or you start to not eat well. So
Yeah.
what do you do to address that?
So if I had to say one concise thing, it's the maintaining my wellness is what I think about,
Mhm.
right? So in an earlier season, we talked about the magic of taking walks. And I said, even if I don't run, I'm going to get outside and walk. So I made sure to do that. Even if I didn't run, since my job has all these stairs, 3 flights of stairs, I'm constantly running up and down. I still need to get outside for that outside fresh air time. Let's take a walk, or um, something else, making sure that I'm doing my facials, making sure that I'm doing my nails, which hasn't been consistent all 8 weeks, but I did pick it back up the last week. So again, the maintenance part, sometimes it might take a little bit longer than it usually does. It might not be every 2 weeks, but do you get back on the buggy, on the horse, and um, keep that a discipline?
And being gentle with yourself.
Of
Not
course.
beating
Yeah.
yourself up about it. That's
Yeah.
I can't remember what season it was that we had Dr. Phelps on about inner
Mm,
ally, and that,
yes.
like, what is your self-talk and what is your language.
So
um
important.
but I was thinking about, this season I had the realization. I mean, I've been kind of skirting all around it, but I really was having a conversation with a dear friend, and they really, I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was something to the effect of, you have been on hyper alert for 2 years and
Mm,
you have to reset your nervous system.
mm,
And I was like, oh my gosh, they're so right. And, we've gotten this youngest off to college. Things are, my everyday schedule is changing. I'm trying to look at what I want to create and realizing, okay, I have to and I'm lucky because my job is self-care. And
yeah.
so I get to teach people how to do it, and I have practices in my everyday life that are just built into my schedule, but it needed a little deeper reset. And so I
Hmm.
made that time. I
Yeah.
went and did the acupuncture schedule, appointment, and the chiropractic appointment. And I got outside this last weekend, and I have to tell you, and I know not everybody has time for this. So I know it was a complete privilege to be able to do it. But, Saturday night, we had a little bit of chill in the air on Saturday. It's still humid here in Atlanta, but Saturday there was a little bit of hint of fall. So I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey Joe, let's build a fire in the backyard." So
Ooh.
we sat out in the backyard for a couple of hours, like, just, looking at the fire. And then the next day we got on the river to go kayaking, for his birthday. A couple of friends said, and that's what they wanted to do for his birthday.
Mm,
And so I realized, having two back-to-back days where I was out in nature, which is one of my number one resets, was huge. And I had not made time for that in
yeah.
months. And so, I was so thankful to be able to do that. And also, going forward, I'm going to calendar that and
Love it.
not take it for granted that, oh, it's going to happen. that it,
Right.
it is a part of my wellness practice, um, to take time off and get outside in nature. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I know that I do a great job at thinking about my nails and nature, but of
Mhm.
course, we talk about all eight dimensions, all right? So
Right?
spirituality is definitely part of that. Unfortunately, we know in the Black community, staying on hyper alert is a way of life,
Yep.
So even though COVID has layered a lot on top of that, part of me feels like I've been thinking like this. This is what we've
Yep.
been doing already. So I just need
Yep.
to do what I normally do and do what I need to do. But remembering that my life is not my own. I'm here for a purpose. God has a plan for me. Everything works for my good. So this season, we both had mentors pass away. We both have
Mhm.
people who we know who have been in and out the hospital. Me knowing that that works for my better and that I'm better because of the time that I got to spend with Linda, and um, I'm better because of all the things that keep me so busy that sometimes I forget other things. That's a blessing, and that is really what anchors me. So I know that I don't have to run and chase a dollar or chase opportunities. I can sit down and do my nails right now, and everything else will work itself out after I'm done. But right now, this is what I'm going to do. So that's something else, making sure that I do time for my devotion, making sure that I make time to be poured into, right? Because as a manager, I'm pouring out to hundreds of people. On a podcast,
Mhm.
we're pouring out to people all over the world. So in order
Yep.
to do that, you have to make sure that you're getting fed too and you're getting what you need. So that's something else I've been really intentional about.
Absolutely. Well, and to just state, I mean, I know we've talked about it on a lot of different episodes, but it's different for everybody,
Yeah.
right? Everybody is a different, like when you talk about doing your nails, like my whole body tenses up. Like that's not like
Mm.
that's not self-care for me. Cuz I get
It's
all
a lot of
stressed
work.
about it,
It's a
right?
lot. Yeah.
So to know for everybody out there listening, like self-care may be sitting down and paying your bills and putting a little love in the envelope, as one of our future guests talked about. Um,
Yeah.
that you know and having intention around what you're doing at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
I was I'm trying to think about, we've talked about so many awesome things on this show. I was thinking about Missy Bird, Melissa, and she talked about she was our environmental wellness guest, and she was talking about creating the Mermaid's Garden out in
Hmm.
Oregon, and a place for sustainability, and a place for women farmers and land and creativity. And everybody's got their jam, right? Some people
Yeah.
be like, that's not self-care for me. I don't
Right. I don't care
right.
about fishing. I don't care about
Right?
aquaculture. Yeah.
And she lit up because you
Yes,
could
you did.
tell it was her purpose and it was her passion. And it was like, whew, yeah, it was her
Yeah.
jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was so interesting for me. She was talking about a recirculating aquaculture system and how that takes
Mhm.
95% less water than the normal fish farms, which is really important not only for the water supply, but the financial um, efficiency of the business and how it would run when it's set up, the opportunities that it would provide. And something else that I really liked about the Mermaid Garden is how it was accessible to people of all ability levels, which is
Yep.
huge, right? You talk about being outside. I love your backyard. We've been out there hanging out, stretching, having a good time.
Yep.
But we talked about on the show, not everybody would be able to go through the
Nope.
path of the labyrinth.
Mhm.
So that was something else on top of how efficient the system that she wants to build is going to be, but the accessibility as well for women and differently
Absolutely.
able people.
Well, I think about that with my house because I
Yeah.
live on a hill and there's stairs and
Mm,
it's not really accessible. You know,
mm,
Uh, I mean, just flat out, it won't be our retirement home. Like it
yeah.
can't be. Like,
Mm, that's the we could talk about it, but I hear what you're
all right,
saying,
you
and I had
know,
never thought about it. Yeah, you do have some good stairs on the
right?
house.
I get my
Yeah,
stairmaster in just going up and down.
yeah, you do. Yeah, you
You
do.
know, we're lucky where we live as far as I think they technically call it the foothills of the Appalachians. We're
Mm,
about an hour and a half south. Um, I was reading something, it was a fiction work, but it was talking about Stone Mountain, the granite mountain that is over here in Stone Mountain, Georgia,
yeah.
which that has a whole history of racism, and it has the largest Confederate monument, I
Mhm.
think, in the nation because
Aren't they
it's
removing it?
chiseled. No, there's been talk about it, but I don't think it has happened yet. No,
Okay,
um, no, there's petitions and there's things to do and remove it, but no, I mean
got
they're
it.
locked in. You know, a friend of mine said we don't have to remove it; we just need to quit maintaining it because our
Mm,
taxpayer dollars maintain it. I mean, Mother Nature would take it back
mm-hmm.
and cover it up, but you know, there are laws currently under the Gold Dome in Georgia that prevent us from doing that. That we need to
Mm,
change. So, sorry, completely squirreled, listeners.
that's
But going back to
fine.
Stone Mountain, I was reading this fiction book, and it was talking about how Stone Mountain got lost from its siblings, the
Mm,
Appalachian Mountains, and it's just this random mountain in the middle, really close to Atlanta, but an hour and a half north.
that's funny. It got
Right?
lost.
It got lost. It just popped up here.
They
It
said,
is
"I
kind of
like
funny,
this one. Put it here for me."
right? It is kind of
Yeah.
funny. You know, I was thinking back over this season, and it's hard to pick like my favorite episode because we had some really good ones.
I don't even
I
try to pick favorites anymore.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Which one
No.
stuck out to you this season?
Oh, there's so many. So I'll give you a few points that I really liked, right?
Okay,
I
tell me.
loved Cameron. We talked about her, right, with occupational wellness and knowing the resources that your employer has. I think that's a huge thing, especially as a younger person, being confident enough to ask the questions that you need to ask after you're on the staff and feeling comfortable to do that. I think it's something that we have the opportunity to grow in. And I
Well,
love what
she
she said.
had. Oh, go ahead.
And I love what she said about the hours that you work do not define your success.
Mm. Yeah, she
Yeah.
had the creatives law library.
Yep.
I went and checked out her resources, y'all. Holy cow. Like, look in our show notes. And if you are a creative business person, this woman has put together some amazing resources for us about
Yeah.
how to do business as a creative. So
Yeah.
go check that out. And that'll be in our show notes. Yeah, she was a freaking rock star.
Yeah, she was. And specifically talking about creatives and contracts, making sure that you understand the legal side of business and things you can do to be ahead of the consideration before you get yourself into a pickle or something comes up. And now we're trying to backtrack. So I love how she
Right.
takes law and the way that we normally think about lawyers and is mixing it with social media, business on social media, which is still relatively new in the lifetime of business, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else
Incredible
that stood
resource.
out definitely was Kira. That was last week, right?
Right?
And we talked about spending time with your future self. And I think about setting myself up for success, right? I think about what I would love it to look like. I think about writing my perfect day. I need to do that more, but I think about it, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I don't ever think about spending time with her. And that was an interesting thought. I also love how she said there's power when women gather and speak truth.
Hmm.
Of course, that's right in line with what we do, but it's also true, and instead of women always getting interrupted, which is what we're used to, I love how she spoke to the power that we have when we're together and we're speaking.
Mm. Mm. Yes, and she had Freedom House Publishing,
Yeah,
which you and I are going to have a conversation with her about our upcoming Women Connected in
cool.
Wisdom book.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
to read. Now I'm going to be an author. I can't wait. That's
Woo-hoo!
my
More
future self.
soon. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
more soon coming about that, y'all. That's gonna be super fun because
Yeah.
we are gonna do a collaboration with some other amazing women that we know. So we will let y'all know about that coming up soon.
Yes.
You know, I loved Nikki
Yes.
from Switch Energy Fitness and
Yes.
her glow up event.
I
And
had a great time.
I was jazzed. That episode was so amazing. Our podcast producer sent me a note that said, "I love all y'all's guests, but this one really pumped me up." Like
Ooh.
she and it's rare that she'll say something good about every episode, but she was like, "Oh my gosh, this guest." So she really resonated with her.
Yeah. Yeah, Nikki is awesome, and I love the glow up fit. And what is it? The Switch Energy Fitness.
Right?
And that's exactly what she did. She brought the energy, and she was talking about how self-love ties into how much energy you put into yourself. And definitely something I'm still working on, and definitely something that I can say I agree with. Like when my um inner ally wasn't as strong, right? When I thought about myself differently, I wasn't putting that much time into the different categories of wellness and thinking about how I could be intentional. I was kind of just going with the flow. But when I realized, hey, you pay attention to everybody else but me, maybe you should give me some time, then I definitely started working out more and using workout as therapy, using physical movement as therapy, like she talked about. So I loved her energy, and I love everything that she's doing and what it stands for.
Right? Makes me think about a conversation I was having with one of my coaching clients this week. And we were talking about how she likes to do sessions while she does her exercise.
Hmm.
So, she walks and talks. And it is and she feels like she gets more clarity. She feels like she gets, she has to go back and capture some things later, but it's a double decker. She's getting her exercise in
Hmm.
and she's working at the same time, because she's working on her business and her ideas that she wants to put out into the world.
Hmm.
So, yes, to you walking and running and glowing up. Like
Yes.
I love that so much. Well, we missed you for emotional and mental wellness that week because you were doing what you needed to do to take care of yourself, which was
Yeah.
awesome. And we had a guest co host, Cecile Armstrong, and our guest
Ooh,
that
ooh.
time was Monisha Mittal from the Hidden Monastery, which you know Monisha because she's a client of Shalo Glow.
Yes, and it's so crazy that Monisha and I keep missing each other. We were supposed to link up when she was down here. I was supposed to finally get to talk to her on the show. And it's just like, what? Of course, everything happens for a reason, but it's crazy that we keep missing each other like that. But um, I was going to say ironic that the show that I actually decided not to come for was mental and emotional. And that was the week that Linda passed away. I said, you know what? Here's something else, more stuff on the plate. Let me step back and take care of myself before everything falls apart.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, on that episode, we talked about Big Love Alchemy.
Mm.
Monisha is doing these beautiful sound cards. They're like 10 minutes or less. She reads poetry, they're really inspiring. It's another way of self care, of like listening deeply. And um, I'll have to. I'll have to send you one, but we'll
I
also
would
put them
love
in the
that.
show notes for
Yeah.
folks. She does some beautiful artwork and a beautiful sound meditation, and yeah, it was
Mm.
just gorgeous. And I don't think she'd mind us sharing her testimonial about Shaylo Glow on air. Do you want to
Okay.
share about it?
Yeah. And, that's what I think about when I think about Monisha is her connection to her mom. So we talked specifically because she used Shalo Glow, and she was so excited to share this moment that she had with her mom. You know how mothers are, especially in the older generation, they take care of everybody else and take care of themselves almost absolute last, if ever. And she had been trying to do something for her mom. She wouldn't let her do anything. And she had the sample of Shalo Glow, and she was able to give her a foot massage. Now, we can go into shea butter and foot massages and all this stuff, but this is the really interesting part of the product and my purpose and what I love about it and how it affects people's lives, because it's not only for the person, but it's also for the service in the community, how we talk about the community care, and specifically with the mothers. So I love that it brought her and her mother together, so that she was able to do something for her. They were able to spend that time together and specifically get reconnected in a way that they hadn't been in decades. And that's really similar to me and my mom's story, because I didn't know my mom for 12 years. So when we got reconnected, there is that phase of, you're my mom. I wouldn't be here without you, but I am disconnected from you, and then she got sick and then she passed away, which
Mm-hmm.
is why Shayla Glow is so very important. And then my best
Mm-hmm.
friend's mom, who is helping me start the business, her house is helping me start the business, she got sick and then she passed away. So it's really about the moms taking care of themselves and the women taking care of ourselves and the community taking care of ourselves. So for her to have a packet of Shayla Glow, to be able to rub her mom's feet, who has done so much for Monisha's life, who does so much for everybody else. I absolutely love that testimony. And I was also really thankful that the Shaylo Glow is something that her mom finally said okay to. So, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do
Mm-hmm.
that. I will let you do that. And it created this beautiful moment for them that they get to keep.
Right. I
Yeah.
love it's such a beautiful story. And I also I think about what you just said about allowing ourselves care, really. Like sometimes we don't allow ourselves care and wellness. And so that allowing of it,
Yeah.
how do we care for ourselves? We talked in financial wellness this week. This season, not this
Yeah.
week. It's been a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We talked about all the resources during these times that folks can reach out to, and those are all on that episode's show notes about if you need help. Um, how do you find it and how do you get
Yeah.
it? Because we
Yeah.
know that a lot of people are struggling right now, and a lot of moms, a lot of single moms, and we want to one of the purposes of our show is to lift up voices of women and connect them to resources, right? That's why
Absolutely.
we do what we do, y'all. We like to
Yeah.
give you people that can help you and that can
Absolutely.
support you. Yeah.
And specifically for financial wisdom or financial wellness, that's something else that has changed. We set goals. We talk about how much I love planning and time management, business systems, all these things, but sometimes plans change. Sometimes you set a goal and then you do the action that you plan to do, and you see that I'm not reaching this goal. And for a lot of people during COVID, it's been financially. We talked about evictions. We talked about occupational wellness and what that's looked like. So that has been me taking time to be a manager again and increase the number of hours that I'm working outside of the home so that I can meet my goals. And then, like you said, with the 5 steps of self care earlier, what is the big picture? If I want my big
Mhm.
picture to look like this, eventually I need to change what I'm doing in the next 2 months so that I can, take incremental steps and reach those goals. So, and that's
Mm,
okay to change it up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think right now, I mean, I think all the time it's good to have assessments and see what's
Yeah.
working because sometimes
Hmm.
we get in ruts or we get in ways that we thought things should be or the way and it may not work for these times. I
Yeah.
mean, but especially right now, y'all, everything
Mm.
is shifted in our world, everything.
Yeah.
So I'm doing check-ins with myself and my people pretty much weekly. How we doing? What's going on? Um, are we on the right track?
Yeah.
Because we might not be, you know.
Yeah.
I know in
It,
our Manifesting Monday group, we do shout outs for our successes and what's working because that part about looking for the good, like we got to do it even in the midst of when things may not be working great. You were about
yeah.
to say something, my friend.
Yeah. And what was I about to say? We were talking about goals, changing the plan, and I don't know if I remember. It'll come back to me. It's okay.
No worries. No worries. Well, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this season.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
great. I'm so excited for season 5. I'm so excited to bring the ladies back and different things that we have planned for everybody. Delving deeper into their resources and continuing to stay connected, because that's something we can do, especially in a community that has, outside of COVID, been used to social interaction and engagement and
Mhm.
events. It's really easy to say, oh, yeah, we'll get together and we'll do the thing, we'll do the fire in the backyard. And it never happens,
Mhm.
or it happens
Right.
once and then we don't stay connected. So I'm really excited about everything that we have coming up.
I am too. And talking about connection, folks can stay connected with us over at womenconnectedinwisdom.com. You can join our community. You can find us on all the social media platforms because Shannon Mitchell is a genius with social
Thank you.
media. So you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, all those places. We would really love it if you would like and subscribe to our podcast. And if you have been enjoying, what episode are we on, Shannon?
Ooh, let me
Are we on
see. I can pull it
46?
up. Something like
Right?
that. Let me pull it up.
If you have been enjoying some of these episodes, give us a review on, especially y'all, if you can do it on Apple Podcasts, because they're still the standard. And that really helps us out. And share it with your friends. If you see or hear an episode that you like, share it. Because that's about what Women Connected in Wisdom is about, is sharing
Absolutely.
our resources and our people with each other. Because we don't have to do this alone. We can do this together. So,
No. And
and
that's
Shannon, if oh, go ahead.
no, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, if they want to find you, if they want to find Shayla Glow, how do they do it?
Yes, so Shayla Glow is also on Facebook and Instagram at Shaylo Glow. So SHEALOGLO. And comment, message me. We'll talk. Ask me whatever questions you have about the challenges that you're facing, and we can go from there.
I think you need to ask Shannon how to glow from head to toe because she knows how to do that.
Yes, yes. And actually that's something else we're building is all of the content to teach you how to do that. So if that's something that you're specifically looking for, definitely go to shayloglow.com and subscribe. That's what we're about to be talking about in the emails, so that you'll have that specifically for the different parts, whether it's for your scalp, your face, is it your neck, is it behind your kneecaps, is your belly button taken care of, all of the different parts that we tend to forget. We're going to make sure that we get you covered and talked about. And also, like it says on the screen, if you're watching, if you ladies are listening to the show, Women Connected in Wisdom, I have a discount code for you, WISE5. You get 5% off of your next Shaylo Glow order.
That is so awesome. Thank you
Yes,
so much for that, my friend.
of
Thank you
course.
so much. Well, we are coming to the end of our time together.
Yeah,
And like we like to do with our guests, I want to do it with each other.
yes.
What is your wisdom in action for this week?
And I think I've used it before, but it's a lifelong wisdom in action. So I'm going to use it again this week, right, to wrap up the season. Maintaining wellness.
Hmm.
Yeah. Gonna go
Right.
back through my systems, whether it's for business and everything that we have for this season. We're about to do the I'll tell you, ladies, we're about to do the launch of the lavender vanilla for the fall, right? So
Oh,
combing through
can't wait.
everything. It's so good. I love it. It's great. Um, Combing through everything and checking the systems, and in addition to that, in between all of that, maintaining the wellness.
I love that. I love that.
What about you?
Um, Mine, I think it's going to continue what I did last weekend, like get outside more. Because
Yeah.
I know it is something that works for me and I love this time of year. And even if it's for 30 minutes sitting on my porch, just I want to get outside more. So that's going to be my wisdom in action,
I love that.
is taking that time and connecting with the earth and connecting with myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
What did you say for our episode number? Did you say 46?
I think so. What was
Oh,
it?
you're right on the money.
Woo,
46.
woo,
Yes.
woo, woo. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, next week will be episode number 47. We
Yes.
are going to have a guest who is funny, professionally funny too. Agnati Cowie with Interplay and a professional clown. And she is going to be talking to us about physical wellness. So I'm excited, my friend.
Yes, me too. I'm looking forward to it. And ladies, in the meantime, we will see you back next week. But in the meantime, be well, be wise, and be whole. Good night.